All right, so in this video, you're going to learn exactly how to build an authentic and profitable personal brand as an entrepreneur or founder. I'm going to walk you through the system I use to grow my own brand to almost 70,000 followers, grow my business to 6 figures, and get the chance to work with and connect with high-level entrepreneurs from all over the world. You're going to learn how to use your personal brand to position yourself as the authority in your space, how to attract an audience of other high-level entrepreneurs for your network who resonate with you as a person, not just your content, and how to build a content strategy that actually solves real business problems for you and allows you to monetize your personal brand and see a real return on investment. All right, so let's get into it. So we're building an authentic, profitable personal brand. So for a second, let's look at 2 different groups of people. We have Group A and Group B. Group A thinks they need to post value content for their ideal client and then wonders why their videos flop and no one buys from them. They focus on trying to be informative over being authentic and end up generating no genuine connection with their followers. Then we have Group B. So these people focus on connection in their content. They post a mix of authentic and authority-based content and build their brand around themselves, not their business. And these creators have an audience who engages with their content and buys what they're selling. So as you can imagine, Group A ends up becoming a commodity brand. They're sharing value, they're regurgitating information, and so they end up competing on price and end up with no genuine connection with their audience. And Group B ends up building a personal brand that's both authentic and profitable. So what's the difference and how do you build an authentic personal brand? Well, you need to build your brand around you, not your business, okay? I'm gonna say that again. You need to build your personal brand around you as a person, not your business or how you make money, right? And so that is the key distinction. And so we need to focus on branding yourself first, and then we can focus on building out your content strategy. And so this comes down to positioning. And there are 4 different sort of pillars that go into this. There's your beliefs, your style, your mission, and your mechanism. And I'm gonna break down each of these 4 pillars right now. So your beliefs are really what makes you one of one. They're what differentiates you, at the core from all the other creators on the internet. So what are your values? How do you see the world? What unique stories or experiences do you have that shape your beliefs? So how do you talk? What do you wear? What does your content visually look like, right? The settings, where you're filming, the image quality, what camera are you using, the editing, right? The style, the captions, the colors that you're using, all of these things matter and need to be figured out at the beginning. Next, we look at your mission. So this is really what's gonna make you worth following. Because remember, if you wanna be followed, you need to be going somewhere, right? So this is where we look at, what are you building? What are you working towards? What is the overall goal that you're achieving or you're trying to achieve with your brand and with your life? So what are you trying to prove, achieve, or create through your work? And what does success look like to you? And then finally, we're gonna look at mechanism, which is ultimately how you make money, how you're gonna monetize your brand. So how are you accomplishing your overall mission, right? Like, how do you make your money? What's your offer? What's your business model? What's unique or different about how you go about doing things and how you get clients' results? And so before you start posting any content, you need to understand these 4 pillars. So then the next question is, how do you create content so that you're able to monetize your brand? Well, you need to find the right audience. And to find the right audience, you don't make content for your ideal client, which is what most gurus say or sort of common knowledge. What you really need to be doing is posting for your dream follower. And I'm going to explain sort of the difference between these 2 groups. So your dream follower doesn't just follow you for your content or your value or your expertise, right? At some level, they want to become a version of the person that you represent or the person you're trying to become. So to understand who this type of person is, ask yourself these questions, right? Who are they? What's their story? What do they look like? What are these people passionate about? What are their goals, their dreams, their desires? Who do they want to become? What are their deepest fears? And finally, what are their deepest struggles? And if you can answer these questions sort of in depth about this audience, then you will have so much clarity on what to post, what to talk about in your content, right? And so once we've clarified your dream follower, then we can think about your ideal client. And I want to make this very clear. Your ideal client is going to be a subsection of your dream follower, except that this subsection has a problem. They're aware of the problem. They're seeking help to solve that problem, and they have the resources to actually invest in a solution to that problem. That's what differentiates these 2 groups. So let's look at this diagram here. This orange circle is the total addressable market for your dream follower. And so within that is the total addressable market for your ideal client. And so we make content for the dream follower or the larger market, which means our content is going to be a little bit more broad. The algorithm is going to show it to more people, and we'll have a better chance of sort of casting out a bigger net and then attracting or finding our ideal client in our content and have them following us. And so answering the question, what should you make content about? It's this: you need to find the overlap between your interests and your dream followers' interests. And that middle of that Venn diagram is where the best content ideas will be. And so the better you can define sort of yourself in those 4 pillars we talked about, and your dream follower with those questions I walked you through, the more clarity you'll have on exactly what content to make. And so I call this area of overlap where all the content ideas are, the interest overlap. Cool. So now that we've got the positioning out of the way, now we can do a deep dive on content. So when thinking about content, I want you to think about it as 3 different types. Okay. And these types sort of depend on the goal of the content or what the content achieves. So there's audience building content, brand building content, and client building content. And you can think of it as sort of top, middle, and bottom of funnel. The audience building content, that's designed to attract, not necessarily convert, right? So these videos are top of funnel, almost lead magnets, made to grab attention, spark emotion, and reach new people who've never seen your content before and just get new eyes on your videos, right? They're not necessarily meant to sell, but they're meant to stop the scroll as well as create curiosity. And so for brand building content, these types of videos are meant more for people who are already following you, right? Who've seen the audience building content, have followed you, and now want to learn more about you. So these videos are more designed to position you as the expert, right? To deepen trust with you and your audience and to show your personality and values. These videos are likely to get fewer views and not go viral, but these are super important to turn a casual viewer, a casual follower into a loyal fan who believes in your message and resonates with you. Then finally, we have client building content, which is going to be the most targeted, the most specific, and likely receive the fewest views, but it has a very important function. So client building content is very strategic and intentional, and it's designed to get that audience who's already been warmed up from your brand building content to actually take action, to do something, to either comment a keyword, join your email list, or DM you about your offer. And this type of content is what's actually going to allow you to monetize your personal brand. So now that we understand content types, let's talk about content themes. So this is really what emotion does the piece of content create in the viewer? So there's 2 main types here. There's authenticity and authority, right? So your authentic content is going to be based around you, and your authority content is going to be based around more your results or things you've achieved. So for authenticity, this is going to be content about your personality, your values, your mission, which we talked about earlier, your mechanism or your why. It's going to show the audience the real unpolished version of you, the person that you are when no one's watching. And that is going to build huge connection and likability between your audience and yourself. So once your audience likes you and they feel like they resonate with you as a person, then we're going to start talking about authority content. And so this is content based around your experience, your lifestyle, and your results. This content is going to position you as someone worth listening to and learning from. And here we're focusing on showing proof, okay? Showing your skill set in action, showing the money that you've made from your business or teaching the skill set you have, and also the lifestyle that the knowledge you have has allowed you to create. And so this is the type of content that's going to create credibility and demand with your audience. So they're going to see you as the authority, the expert, and it's really the type of content that makes them want to work with you or learn from you. So now that we understand content types and content themes, now we're going to talk about content formats, which is how the content is packaged. So there's a bunch of different ways you can take the same idea and create content about it. And there's a spectrum of content that's more authentic and content that shows more authority. So there's talking head videos, there's voiceovers, there's POV videos, day in the lives, podcasts, and even detailed breakdowns like Miro board, which is what I'm doing right now. And so by understanding content formats, you can optimize for either authentic or authority-based content depending on your goals with your specific brand in the specific moment. And it's important to note that your content strategy and the videos you're posting should and will change based on the facts in front of you and your goals for your content. So now let's talk about solving business problems with content. So there are sort of three main problems that you're going to come across when you're posting content and you're trying to generate an income or monetize based off of it. Problem one is you're seeing low views. So if you're seeing this, then you want to be posting audience building content and test out different formats to see which format of these does the best with your audience, and then double down on that. Problem two is you're getting decent views, but you're having low engagement in your video. And so this is when we want to start creating more authenticity-based content that's highly relatable to your audience. So it spurs engagement from them because they feel like, wow, this guy, gets me, or I'm experiencing this exact same problem in my life or business. And then problem three is low sales. And if we're experiencing this, then you need to be posting more authority content and more calls to action and giving your audience more opportunities to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in what you're offering, or I'm interested in learning more or working from you. And so this is how you can use these frameworks that we talked about above to actually solve problems that you're experiencing with your personal brand and with your business by changing the type of content you're posting in real time. So the last section I want to talk about is understanding how to track and what to track when it comes to your content, because we don't just want to be guessing and throwing out different content pieces. Some of them work, some of them don't. We want to be really analytical with building our brands and building our business online. So these are the 4 metrics that I suggest tracking, that I track for myself and I find really valuable to help me iterate and improve my content strategy over time. And so first, we're going to focus on follows per 1,000 views. You need to understand that more views on a video doesn't necessarily mean more follows from that video. So by knowing what type of video tends to bring in the most follows for you, that can help you dial in your audience building content and know exactly what type of post to make to generate followers for your personal brand. Next, I want to talk about genuine comments per video. So tracking this allows you to understand which videos evoked strong emotion in the viewer. And so by knowing what type of videos tend to lead to more genuine interaction, this is how we can optimize our brand building content, so that when we go to post a piece of content or create a piece of content that we want to connect with our audience, we can look and see, hey, this type of video specifically tended to have the most genuine engagement from my audience, so I'm going to create something similar to that. Next, I want to talk about saves. So a high number of saves under a video means that it was very valuable to your audience, right? They saved it because they want to go back and rewatch it and make sure that they're getting all the nuances and complexities and actually understanding what you're talking about in the video because it was applicable to them. And this is going to help you dial in your client building content, because if your followers have basically told you, hey, this type of video is really valuable, then when you want to go about creating content that brings in new clients, you can look back and see this type of video tended to get a lot of saves. Therefore, my audience thought it was valuable. Therefore, I'm going to post more of them with like a call to action at the end. And that's going to bring in a higher number of clients compared to another type of video. Lastly, I want to talk about shares. So if your video has a high number of shares, it means it was basically relatable to your audience or someone else in their network. And so a video with high shares is great for both audience building and brand building content, because the video is being sent to someone else, so it's getting an additional viewer on your page and on your content. And the fact that the video is being shared means that it really resonated with your follower. And so again, that goes back to brand building content, where you build that genuine connection with them. So by tracking these metrics and using data-driven decision-making, this is how you can really optimize your personal brand quickly. Make sure that you're not wasting time or money or just guessing what to post, but actually optimizing the content based on what your audience is telling you in real time, which is going to have the greatest ROI and the fastest growth for your personal brand. And so that's the last part of the content strategy that I want you to understand. So at this point, I've gone over the 2 main sections of building a personal brand, which is 1, positioning, and 2, the content strategy side of things. So there was a lot of valuable information, but again, information and knowledge means nothing if you don't actually implement it into your brand. So I implore you, actually use this information, rewind the video, go back, Make sure you understand the concepts and start applying it into building your personal brand as soon as possible. That said, if you want to work with me and my team one-on-one to actually implement this entire system into your business, you can just DM me the word brand on Instagram or click the first link in the YouTube description. And there's going to be more information about how you can work one-on-one with me. But other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.